I like the heel toe shifter. Takes a little while to get used to, but I think it's nice. So many people hate it. Not I. So looking at the torque graphs, I think it peaks out somewhere around 44,000, 4,500. I think it's 4,500. You find that the engine is happiest actually below that in terms of how it's running. It's like the S1000R, you know, between 7 and 10,000 it just sings. This bike does its singing 2,000 to 3,500, 2,000 to 4,000, somewhere in that realm. Very, very different. Got some blow-in balls. Gotta watch these corners. Used to dragging around these things. You can scrape these floorboards too, it's no big deal. I've already torn them up a little bit. See? See how Gentile's being and I tore it up? It's about the approach angle as well. I didn't have to scrape right there. This is what it's all about. Heading down the coast, going for a meandering ride out here, putting the girl in the back, taking a longer trip. This bike serves a lot of different purposes. The other night I was kind of spent, but I wanted to go for a ride. Not the safest thing to do on the S1000R. You gotta have your wits about you because it's gonna lure you into driving like a madman. Something you shouldn't be doing if you're feeling tired. So I grabbed this guy and we went for a nice cruise down the coast at a nice pace. I got what I wanted, the bike got what it wanted, everyone was happy, and I came home safe. This bike is perfectly happy cruising around these roads right now at a slow speed. I find myself actually doing the speed limit on this bike, and it still likes to rip. I don't know if you guys can hear the exhaust or not. From a rider's perspective, I can hear it. It's pretty quiet though. More bass, lower frequency. I bet it travels a little further in traffic, as all low frequency sounds do. Gives them stock throttle. It's got some bark to it. Wow. Hang on. Yeah, it likes to move. Likes to move. You've got to work with it though, you know? You can't be flying up to lights planning on stopping or slowing down quickly for a corner, at least not immediately for a corner. You gotta know what you're riding. Yeah, put this guy in third gear. You can take on most back roads. Just keep it in third, man. It'll pull from low, 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 low. A lot of fun. This bike's a lot of fun. This is not about what's better. You know, a fast, super naked bike, sport bike, whatever you want to call it, standard bike, cruiser, touring bike. It's not about that at all. What it is about is what kind of fun do you want to have? What are you in the mood for? Where are you going? How are you feeling? So this thing's got character in the boatloads. Most sports bikes can't touch it, but some sports bikes have a lot of character themselves. Personally, in terms of appearance, this is prettier than almost every sport bike I've ever seen. You know, the one bike I can say that might give it a run for its money is the white version of the Ducati Panigale at $899. Really, really pretty, man. If it's not painfully obvious, I really don't know how to ride this thing. This is part of the fun. Figure it out. You know, it's very easy to ride. It likes to tip right over, does a job. It's smooth. I don't have to muscle it by any means. If you muscle in this bike, you're pushing it too hard in a corner. That's the way I feel. If you're 110 pounds plus, you should be able to give it as much muscle as it needs. Another benefit of the low seat is you can have more people ride it and enjoy it. My soon-to-be wife, she can enjoy it. Friends, you know, people that feel more comfortable being closer to the ground. You can't share your pleasure. It's not so pleasurable. Can't say in terms of reaction. People react much more strongly to this bike than they do to the other bikes I've had. There's one neighbor I have, been living next to him for about 6 months. I think I heard him speak twice. This bike shows up and he turned into a giddy schoolgirl. People complain about that single disc up front. I gotta be honest, if you just use front brake on this bike, you're doing it wrong. Now, I'm not speaking from the Alta here, but I can say that I've tried just using the front brake sometimes, as you would in a sport bike. And you don't get the stopping power, and you get a lot of compression at the fork. Feels relatively unstable. Feels like you don't want to do it again, is what it feels like. The rear brake feels much more powerful than I anticipated. And looking at that pad there, it's begging for you to use it. If you use them in conjunction, a little bit of front, a little heavier on the rear, the bike does exactly what you want it to do. Looking forward to grinding these footboards down. Give me a couple more millimeters. You know, scraping is just a noise. I don't feel it interrupting the bike. You obviously don't want to do it on a rough surface. It could catch the surface and you could go over, but you know, if you pull that shit, you might deserve it. This road gives my S1000R a run for its money. You know, doing anything over 20 miles an hour. That thing loves to turn. So let's break it down. Try to go piece by piece. It's more of a first impressions. I haven't had it very long. Let's start with comfort. Under 70 miles an hour, incredibly comfortable. Over 70 miles an hour, it's a pain. You turn into a windsock, it blows you backwards, you find yourself doing a stomach crunch on this because you get a slight lean on the back. My knees are up, the wind's blowing you backwards. So what do? Mostly keep it about 70. solves the problem. The seat is wide. You can be a big boy and find comfort in this seat. It's very subjective though. You gotta put your butt in it before you make that determination. The passenger seat that comes stock, my wife loves it. It's super comfortable. We've already taken a couple long trips. She's comfortable the whole time. The sissy bar backrest, it hits her right in the lower back in the lumbar area. It doesn't hit higher up. I actually sat back there. It's pretty comfortable. We haven't gone on a ride longer than, I don't know, we went for well over an hour in each direction, 2 hours total, the other day, and she was perfectly happy. She was just lounging back there. So that made me happy. So that's the comfort. Ergonomics, you gotta get used to the left, right blinker switches on the appropriate sides of the handlebar. Click it once on, click it again off. Same thing on the right. Doesn't take long to get used to it. Cruise control, right there. Extremely simple to use. You press it in to activate it. You knock it down once and you're off. And then you can go faster or slower whether you push the button up or down. Up, down. Works very well. I've already enjoyed that. Brake levers, right where you want them. Mirrors, excellent. Best mirrors I've had so far. Yeah, so you got 3,800 RPM. Still a lot of kick in his pants. Love that heel toe. Nice. So we've generally covered ergonomics. Braking, I think I've gone over that. At least enough. Engine, it's a torque monster. It's impressive. You gotta hang on if you really hit it. And I love that. Suspension. I haven't set the preload yet. I do have the tool for it, but I gotta lift the bike up a little bit because it's so low to the ground on the side stand, I can't fit a wrench under there to loosen up the lock nut to get the thing rolling. So I fluctuate between 200, 205 pounds usually. And this is set up for, I don't know, 160, 180 pound rider. I'm gonna throw my wife in the back. And the preload is way off. So I'm coming to you from a bike without preload setup. The Softails, having that hidden suspension, it's not meant to be dynamically superior. It's meant to soften things up a little bit and give you the looks you want at the same time. The low version, my impression is it's even more compromised. I'm comfortable. If I see a big bump in the road, the kind of bump I wouldn't want to hit anyway, that's a cool bike. I don't know what that thing was, but it's cool. It hasn't held me back. You can see how slow I'm riding this thing. That's what this is all about. On the S1000 on this road, I'm leaning over. I got bicyclists, I got cars. I can't help myself and have fun doing it. But once again, I'm gonna live longer if I slow it down once in a while on this thing. Suspension has many aftermarket products that can improve the quality if that becomes an issue down the line. But I'm satisfied so far. Like I said, I could ride this thing for hours. I took it for a 3-hour ride the other day. I wasn't sore, I just chilled. Put in a cruise control. Listen to that low frequency rumble. It's very, very relaxing. So that's the suspension in short. You know, oddly enough, I think you sport bike guys might be surprised. It's a Showa suspension. At least the shocks underneath. I'm looking under this. It's Showa on them. I was actually pretty amazed, but the Harley guys have known this for a long time. They're a supplier. They're known to make good components. The front, I believe the front is Showa as well, but I'm not going to say that definitively. Whenever I get on a new bike like this, I'm on a twisty road, I never know what gear to use. It takes you a little while to work it out. This bike, this road, it's good to be in first sometimes. As odd as that is. So range, I haven't really calculated it out, but it's enough. It's well over 150 miles if you drive it fairly gently. I think the range meter on this thing tells me about 200 left at some points. Sounds reasonable. I'd have to defer to somebody with more experience on this particular machine though before I could say anything. I mean, it's heavy. It's got a big torque monster motor. I mean, it can't be that good. Electronics. Very briefly. ABS. I actually like having that on a bike. First bike didn't have it and it was fine. I learned what it felt like to lock up your wheels. I learned how to not lock up my wheels. Consider me done. I know many of you are surprised to hear that it does not have rider modes. I was really surprised about that. I was surprised it didn't have a track mode. It does have a small screen here below the speedometer that has variable function. I'll pull over to show you. There we go, get this button right here. Look down at the screen. Currently on RPM. In gear, I'm in neutral, so it shows me nothing except the green light here, obviously. Click it once, you get total miles, 542. Wow, I'm really working this baby. First service is 1,000 miles, according to the dealer. We're getting there. That must be a trip. Another trip. Range. So I got 171 left. You see the meter's down less than a quarter. Time, which is wrong. Reset that. Then back to gear RPM. So, you know, I think they could have gone nuts on the electronics. You know, they have the alarm. It's actually very impressive in terms of its use and convenience. They could have put a big fancy screen on it here, but the bottom line is, man, I mean, look at that. I think this is wonderful. I think the simplicity is wonderful. A lot of people replace this with a tachometer and a speedometer that look more modern. And, you know, personally, I feel like it's against what this bike is for. I want something that is cutting edge, super modern, super edgy. This isn't what I'm going to get. It's just awesome. It's just simply awesome.